John Ronald Reuel Tolkien was a big fan of tobacco, and he wanted his characters to enjoy smoking a pipe just as he did. But since tobacco was discovered in North America, he needed a different tobacco-like substance for his characters to enjoy. So he invented pipeweed, a plant that the citizens of Middle-earth smoke in a pipe that is basically tobacco except native to pre-Europe. Then, as marijuana weed got more popular, the jokes about, the habits are smoking weed, man, started early and never, ever stopped. The movies play it ambiguously as to whether pipeweed is more tobacco weed or weed, but the actors made their choices.
Billy and Dom gave us a lot of variations on just how stoned they were, and there were some actually quite funny ones where they were incredibly stoned.
But as smoking tobacco had become significantly less socially acceptable, the filmmakers had to wrestle with how they would handle the copious smoking in the books, and at one point they considered having Gandalf actively give up smoking.
There was an idea of Fran Walsh, or was it Philippa Burns, that Gandalf should have just given up smoking. I think they were a little bit worried that New Line or the censors or people who don't like smokers were going to object to the number of characters who smoke in the movie.
It's probably for the best that they didn't do this. It would not have been a popular change, drawing attention to modern sensibilities regarding smoking in a fantasy world. Save that for modern sensibilities about skateboarding. That said, changing the text to reflect how the outside world has changed would be interesting given the larger themes. The very first line of English we hear in the movie is, "The world is changed," and this would have reflected that on a meta level.
It was acknowledging that the world's moved on a little bit since the books were written.
But if they had to update for modern smoking sensibilities, let's be real, the better move would have been to just not acknowledge smoking at all. But of course, if they did that, they wouldn't have been able to set up all the Sharky business they had no intention of paying off.
Long bottom leaf. Finest pipeweed in the South Farthing.
So ultimately, the characters do smoke in the film, just like they do in the book. But once again, there exists one remnant of this idea in the final trilogy. One pretty confusing remnant. Gandalf doesn't quit smoking, but he does, very briefly, react poorly to it.
We do, for those who are rabidly anti-smoking, put in enough anti-smoking propaganda, and one of them is the catch in the throat that Gandalf has during the scene with Pippin. And water has to be brought, and we integrated it into the scene as if Pippin didn't quite approve of the rate at which Gandalf smoked.
So, compromise. Everyone still smokes, but one person in exactly one instance doesn't feel good doing it. Those who hate smoking still aren't happy, and those who don't care are confused. Look, I really do love these movies. There are just some parts you can't really zoom in too close on.